Hey guys! So before you watch this video, make sure you go into Google Classroom and look at the different kinds of still life artwork that I showed you. And now it's time for us to draw our own still life. Before we do that, I want to point out that my handmade mug, not made by me, and my handmade earrings, also not mine, happen to match today. And that was totally by accident. All right, so enough about that. We're gonna make a still life. So you need to get 3 objects from your home. They could be things that are important to you. So if you're really into PlayStation, get your PlayStation remote control thingy or whatever. Yeah, that's what it's called. And you could get whatever represents you, or it could just be some things that you feel like you want to draw. I don't recommend something with a whole lot of words on it. That can be a little bit overwhelming. They should be kind of simple things. But if it does have tons of words or designs, you actually don't have to draw all of that. So you need to get 3 things. Watch this video first, and that might help you get some ideas for what 3 things might work for you. All right, I'm gonna switch my camera around. Okie doke. So here are my 3 objects. And when you arrange your objects, it is really important that they overlap. You can see that the apple is in front of this. It's hiding part of it, okay? This looks like it's right next to the apple. This is what it looks like when it's right next to the apple. It's a little farther behind. It's a little bit farther back. This is back a little bit farther than this, okay? It would be very boring if you arrange all 3 things. Whoops. If you arrange all 3 things in a row, that's boring and it doesn't show enough depth. So we want to see some distance in here. So let's go like this. So this is closest, this is kind of middle, and this is farthest away, okay? And if you are sitting super close to this, you're gonna get overwhelmed with all of the details. So if you're at a table, put it a little bit farther away from you, and I think it'll end up being easier. Okay. I also recommend, if you have a camera, maybe take a picture of how it looks, hold the camera exactly where your eyes are, and then if somebody moves it between now and next week, you'll have a picture of what it looks like. But try to put this in a safe place because we are going to work on this 2 weeks in a row. All right, so when I draw my picture, first of all, you need to use a pencil. I recommend this kind of a pencil and not one of those clicky mechanical pencils. This is a little easier to blend. It's a little bit more dull and not as sharp. So you're going to use a pencil, and I want you to use a full sheet of printer paper. I am folding mine only because it needs to be small enough that I can fit it in my frame, so you can watch me draw and see my still life at the same time. All right, I'm using a marker so that you can see while I'm drawing. Here we go. So when you are drawing your still life, you want to fit everything onto your paper, okay? But you do not want things resting right on the bottom. Start with the thing that is closest to you. The apple is closest to me, and it's basically in the center. So I'm not going to put the apple right at the bottom. Remember, we want to give it a little bit of distance. So I'm going to put it here. If I make my apple this big, am I going to have room for the jar with all the paintbrushes up here? No. So I have to make my apple a little small, right? But if I make it too small, like this big, the whole picture, my whole drawing is only going to take up this much space. So you want to try to make it big enough that you can fill the space. So I'm going to start with my apple because it's closest to me. And you're just sketching and you're drawing really lightly because you want to be able to go back and erase this later if it's the wrong shape. So that's kind of the shape of my apple. The little place where the stem goes is right about there. Now, when I look at the apple, I can see that the jar, the vase, is hiding behind it. The bottom of the vase is lined up just a little bit below that hole for the stem. So I'm using the apple to help me know where to put the vase. So the bottom of the vase, there's the stem hole. The bottom of the vase was about here. And I can see a little bit of the side of it before it hides behind the apple. And then right around here, we can see it again. It comes up about there, okay? And then this comes over to about here. So when you draw, you're gonna you're going to feel like, oh, I know exactly how this is supposed to look. And you're just going to draw it the way you think it's supposed to look. I want you to draw what you actually see, not how you think it's supposed to be, but draw what you truly, truly see. All right, so now the top of the vase, and notice I'm not doing any of these dots. We're not focused on details. We're just getting the stuff where it needs to be. This doesn't go straight across. It curves down a little bit, and that helps us to see that it's round. This should curve a little bit too. And I can see the back edge of it here, and the stem for the flower kind of comes up there, okay? Now the flower, the top of the flower right here is right above the outside edge of the vase, right? It's right above it. So here's the outside edge of the vase. The top of the flower is about here. And I know this flower, it's a Gerber Daisy, it is really big and round. But the way that I'm looking at it right now, it's actually kind of flat from my angle. So that's what I'm drawing. It's flat, so I'm drawing it flat. Kind of that big, I think. I can always come back and change it. We're just blocking it out, figuring out where the stuff goes. All right, then here comes my jar with the paintbrushes in it. Let's see, so this edge of the jar, how tall is the jar? It's about as tall as the bottom petal in my Gerber Daisy. So here's the bottom petal of my daisy, and that's about how tall my jar is gonna be. And I look at the stem, or that hole for the apple, the side of the jar is really similar, kind of lines up to where that stem is in the apple. Why? I feel like I drew this a little bit off. I think the stem of the apple actually goes over here. All right, so if you had a pencil, you can erase that. I don't have a pencil, so I just had to kind of redo it. All right, so that comes over here, and then the bottom of the jar comes out from behind the apple around here. I want to point something out to you. This white jar is in the middle. This is closer than this. Because this is closer, the bottom of this is lower down on my paper than the bottom of this, okay? The bottom of this jar is slightly higher up than the bottom of this jar. The bottom of the apple is lowest down on my paper because it is closest to me, okay? So this comes out maybe a little farther, and this goes like this, and we go up. And you know what? It's looking like I might not be able to fit my paintbrushes on my paper. Part of it will fit, but not all of it. And you know what? It is totally fine if some of it comes out, comes right off the edge. I think this guy is going to fit, this fluffy. And you know what? We think, oh, paintbrushes go like that. But that's actually not at all what it looks like. It's just kind of a rectangle. And then this guy goes up here, kind of next to it. Oh, it does. Well, see, that one goes right off the edge. And then this one is kind of right in the middle. And the fluff part, whoops, I drew on my book. The fluffy part goes up here. The last thing I want you to do right now, if you look at my picture, these objects are just floating in space. They need to be on a table, okay? When you look at my table, that back edge just goes right there. You might have a back edge of the table that you want to put in exactly where it goes. As long as, if I put the line down here, if I put the line of my table here, it's going to look like this is floating. It's going to look like that's floating. So the line has to go behind it, right? So let's see. And do not use a ruler. You might want to use a ruler. Don't use a ruler. All right, so now I have the back edge of the table. This is all we're doing for today. Do not color it in. Do not color it in. Do not color it in. In the next class, we're going to add shading with pencil. Okay, so you need to save this in a safe place, maybe in your bedroom or something, or take a picture of it so you have it to look at for next week. Okay, but try to save this so you can look at it for next week. Okay, I actually am going to post the second part of this so that if you want to add the color this week, you can, but send me a picture of this first, then watch next week's video, and then add the shading to this. Okay? Good luck.